Welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a deep and honest look at the new Volkswagen T-Roc, a compact SUV that's been one of VW's quiet success stories, and the big question we're answering is whether this really is the best petrol SUV you can buy right now. The T-Roc sits between the T-Cross and the Tiguan in Volkswagen's SUV lineup, and it's aimed at drivers who want something stylish, practical, and comfortable without stepping up to a full-size family SUV. On paper, it promises a lot, but as always, what really matters is how it feels on the road, how usable it is day to day, and whether it's worth your hard-earned money. From the outside, the latest T-Roc looks sharper and more confident than before. Volkswagen hasn't completely reinvented it, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. The design is familiar, clean, and modern, with a slightly sporty edge that helps it stand out from more conservative rivals. The wide grille, slim headlights, and strong shoulder line give it a planted stance, while the raised ride height reminds you that this is an SUV, even if it's more about lifestyle than serious off-roading. There's also a good range of colors and wheel designs, so you can make it look fairly understated or a bit more eye-catching depending on your taste. Step inside, and this is where the new T-Roc really starts to impress compared to earlier versions. One of the biggest criticisms of the old model was the interior quality, especially when you compared it to cars like the Mazda CX-30 or even some Korean rivals. Volkswagen has clearly listened, because the cabin now feels much more solid and upmarket. The dashboard design is simple and driver-focused, with better materials on the areas you touch most. Soft touch plastics, smarter trim finishes, and a generally tighter feel make this a much nicer place to spend time. The driving position is another strong point. You sit slightly higher than in a regular hatchback, which gives you a good view of the road ahead without making you feel like you're towering over traffic. The seats are comfortable and supportive, even on longer journeys, and there's plenty of adjustment to help drivers of all shapes and sizes find a good position. Visibility is generally good too, with slim pillars and a large windscreen, although the chunky rear pillars can make over-the-shoulder checks a bit trickier when parking. Technology is a big part of the T-Roc's appeal, and Volkswagen has packed in plenty of kit. Most versions come with a crisp digital driver display and a central touchscreen that handles navigation, media, and vehicle settings. The graphics are sharp, the screen responds quickly, and once you get used to the menus, it's fairly intuitive to use. Smartphone connectivity is standard, which means Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are there to make life easier, especially if you prefer using your phone's apps for navigation and music. That said, not everything is perfect. Like many modern Volkswagens, the T-Roc relies heavily on touch-sensitive controls, including for things like climate settings on higher trims. While it looks sleek and modern, it can be a bit fiddly to use on the move, especially compared to old-fashioned physical buttons and dials. It's not a deal-breaker, but it's something to be aware of if you value simplicity above all else. Now let's talk about practicality, because this is where compact SUVs live or die for many buyers. The T-Roc offers a good balance of space without feeling bulky. In the front, there's plenty of headroom and legroom, even for taller drivers and passengers. In the back, adults can sit comfortably on shorter journeys, and there's enough knee room for most people, although it's not the most spacious in its class. Headroom is decent, even with the optional panoramic roof, but 3 adults across the back will feel a bit squeezed. The boot is a strong point, especially when you compare it to some rivals that prioritize style over space. There's enough room for a family's weekly shopping, a couple of suitcases, or a pushchair without too much hassle. The boot opening is wide, making it easy to load bulky items, and the rear seats fold down to create a flat load area when you need to carry longer or larger items. It's not massive, but it's more than adequate for most everyday needs. Of course, the big headline question is how the T-Roc drives, particularly with its petrol engines. Volkswagen offers a range of turbocharged petrol options, and they're one of the main reasons this car is so appealing. The smaller petrol engines are smooth, quiet, and surprisingly punchy around town, making the T-Roc easy and relaxed to drive in traffic. Throttle response is good, and there's enough low-down torque to pull away confidently from junctions without feeling strained. On the motorway, the petrol engines really come into their own. They're refined at cruising speeds, with minimal road and wind noise filtering into the cabin. The T-Roc feels stable and composed, even at higher speeds, and long journeys are comfortable thanks to the supportive seats and well-judged suspension. It's not a sports car, but it doesn't need to be. What it does offer is a sense of confidence and calm that makes it easy to live with day after day. If you enjoy driving, you'll be pleased to know that the T-Roc handles better than you might expect for an SUV. The steering is light but accurate, making it easy to place the car on the road, and there's good body control through corners. It doesn't lean excessively, and it feels predictable and secure, even when you push on a bit. Compared to some rivals that feel a bit vague or wallowy, the T-Roc strikes a nice balance between comfort and control. Ride comfort is another area where Volkswagen has done a solid job. Around town, the suspension deals well with bumps and potholes, soaking up rough surfaces without crashing or jolting passengers. On faster roads, it remains settled and composed, although larger wheels can make the ride a bit firmer over sharp edges. Overall, it's a comfortable car that suits UK roads well, whether you're commuting, doing the school run, or heading off on a longer trip. Fuel economy is always a key consideration with petrol SUVs, and the T-Roc performs reasonably well here. The smaller petrol engines are efficient enough for everyday driving, especially if you're doing a mix of town and motorway miles. While it won't match the very best hybrids for outright efficiency, it offers a good compromise between performance and running costs. For drivers who don't want the complexity or higher purchase price of a hybrid, the petrol T-Roc makes a lot of sense. Safety is another strong point. The T-Roc comes with a comprehensive suite of driver assistance systems, including automatic emergency braking, lane keeping assistance, and adaptive cruise control on higher trims. These systems work smoothly in the background, adding an extra layer of reassurance without being overly intrusive. It's the kind of car that makes you feel looked after, whether you're an experienced driver or someone who values extra support on busy roads. So, is the new Volkswagen T-Roc the best petrol SUV you can buy right now? The answer depends on what you're looking for, but it's certainly right up there. It offers a great blend of comfort, quality, practicality, and driving enjoyment, wrapped up in a stylish and well-built package. It may not be the cheapest option in its class, and it's not the most exciting or the most spacious, but it does almost everything very well, which is exactly what many buyers want. If you're coming from a hatchback and want something that feels familiar but more practical, the T-Roc is an easy transition. If you're downsizing from a larger SUV, it still feels grown-up and capable enough to not feel like a compromise. And if you simply want a petrol SUV that's comfortable, refined, and easy to live with, the T-Roc makes a very strong case for itself. At the end of the day, the Volkswagen T-Roc doesn't try to be flashy or revolutionary. Instead, it focuses on getting the basics right, and that's what makes it so appealing. It's a car that fits neatly into everyday life, quietly doing its job without fuss, while still offering enough style and quality to feel special. And in a crowded market full of bold designs and big promises, that calm confidence might just be the T-Roc's biggest strength.